So I haven't seen a medical update. Is the league MVP going to be available to play next weekend?
See, we don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure he's going to be rushed through protocols.
I haven't seen a medical update.
There's some typically dirty play by the Cleveland Browns.
Well, that's the best takeout of a quarterback since Turkey Jones.
It was weird. It didn't even look, it looked like a WWE style like headlock or something, I thought. Damn it. I'm sharing right now. All right, I'm shared.
Let me see if it pops up on my thing or if I have to do the thing with the thing.
With the thing on the thing. And the thing with the thing.
Mr. T-Berry got his stitches out today. Got a clean bill of recovery continuing as hoped for.
So no more cone of shame. He's all done with that.
No, it's funny. They actually said, "Oh, he doesn't have to wear the cone." But you know what? We're still going to put it on him at night because we can't see what he's doing. He doesn't mind it. I'm assuming a lot of dogs hate it. They know it and they try to resist.
Every dog hates it.
Our dog, he just sits there.
It's weird,
and he it doesn't bother him.
That's funny. All right, I'm all shared and stuff too.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way.
I want to be the company that makes the tents on the NFL sidelines so they can't see what they're doing to the guys over there. Let me ask you something. Where's the unity? How does it unify us to make someone accountable for their actions? Tell me that.
All right. Well, the answer is it doesn't.
There you go.
It doesn't. Okay. We're all ready.
Yes, sir.
It is the Brad and Britt cast, our first one for this week. Thank you very much for joining us. 1:30 Eastern hour, later for podcast fans and video on demand later fans.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a thing? I don't know. Maybe it is.
Why not?
I would like to begin with a quick reading of Mike Pence's last tweet. My fellow Americans, we've been through a lot this past year, but through it all, I have seen the strength and resilience of the American people shine forth. I'm proud to report that with just a few days left in our administration is the first in decades that did not get America into a new war. That's peace through strength. All right, I'll stop right there.
Did he really write that? Is that really a thing that he wrote? Oh, Jesus.
There's one more here. From this very fort, wherever he was talking from, selfless patriots like you have been at the heart of the war on terror from the very beginning. So I don't know, just speaking to the military. And it's because of you that we reached the 19th anniversary of that terrible day, having had no major terrorist attack on American soil since. Now, let's try to figure out, is this intentional irony? Is this stupidity? Is this Trumpism? Is this everything? So 10 days after an internal domestic terrorist attack on the United States of America, he is trying to push, and I guess these are the kinds of things that Trumpists and Trumpism is going to try to build on over the years, right? We could become Nazi Germany and Stalin's Russia in a month, and Trump will say, yeah, but we didn't get into a foreign war and there was no terrorism from outside on American soil.
And yet there was.
I was president. And so what do you complain? Right. I mean,
there was an Islamic terrorist.
Help me with this.
There's no, I mean, you have to forget that thing happened at the naval base down in Florida as well, as far as Muslim extremism, right? You'd have to totally just forget about that. That never happened. All
right, but we'll grant that we all forgot about that one.
Sure.
Okay. So we need big stuff for it to matter. Pearl Harbor, Civil War, 9/11, bombing in Oklahoma City by Timothy McVeigh,
right?
And how about January 6th, 2021? Does that? I think that counts already. Don't you think? Don't you think if you're the goddamn fucking vice president to stand up there 3 days before you leave office, 4 days before you leave office, when the guy who had you in his sights and set a gang of thugs, of white nationalist Christian thugs,
right,
to come after you and hang you from a gallows that they built right there on the Capitol, that you would still say at that hour,
right?
That, well, thank God, at least there hasn't been anything since 9/11. We've stopped all that. How do we get through that, Britt? I don't know what we do. I don't know what we do.
I'm not sure either. I mean, and I assume that Donald Trump had just canceled MLK's birthday as a holiday. I figured that it had happened today, but I guess he's not really. Are we all on the same? We're all on the same page that Mike Pence is running the country de facto, because like Trump checked out a while ago. I don't know who's doing it. The only thing now,
nobody's running the country. It's just
there's
a pilot. Yeah,
because the only thing that he's doing of a presidential nature is he's taking bids for pardons and commutations right now. I guess that's the only thing that's going on that's remotely presidential when it comes to Donald John Trump Sr., right?
What, you haven't seen that site, gopardonme.com?
I just wonder, is a commutation? Is a commutation less than a pardon? Does a pardon cost? What is the going? I mean, I just want to know what the going rate is.
Yeah, a commutation where you get out of jail.
Yeah,
it's still on your record.
Right, like Scooter Libby. Scooter Libby had his commuted.
Right.
I don't think he was.
That's 45% off the retail price.
Correct. And I don't know. I know that Dick Cheney kept bugging Bush for the full pardon, and Bush totally at some point said, "Go fuck yourself, get out of my face." And they didn't talk for a while because Bush wouldn't go with the plan to completely pardon Scooter Libby.
As you've said, I figured it out.
Yeah.
And this goes back to what we were just saying a few moments ago, that it took decades, really, for the full force of revisionist history, the lost cause, Civil War. We didn't really lose it. It was, we won. It was taken, the country, it was taken away from us. They screwed us. They put their heel in and ground it into the ground and gave all the shit to the blacks after the Civil War. We won. And we're going to show you, and for the next 100 years, we're going to do to the blacks legally what we couldn't do before. All right, the lost cause, and it's and the Confederate flag. Here it is. Fuck you, and right, racism continued. It took a while for that to really embed itself. Now things are sped up, and so less than 2 weeks ago, we had an attempted takedown coup of the American government, a decapitation of the vice president, the Speaker of the House, and as many members of the House and Senate as could be found, were it not for the courage of the not enough Capitol Police who were there, who really, yes, the planning of it sucked, but you can't blame the guys who were there, except for the ones who were sympathizers and wanted to have selfies taken with okay, all right, a few bad apples, right? There's always
a few, yeah.
But the revisionist history Lost Cause 2, this version of it now is already here.
Yeah.
And of course, you can see it on Fox News every hour, because what happened on January 6th is at best worth about 30 seconds of mention through any hour, and a byproduct of feeling that they had to do it during any interview segment. It gets thrown in there and then tossed off, because the real issue is this was a First Amendment problem. This was the First Amendment problem, where no one could hear what these people were saying. They were not allowed to get their message to the country, to the world. No one was listening to them.
Yeah.
They had to take action. And then the First Amendment problem really got bad when Donald Trump lost his Twitter account,
right,
and his Facebook account.
Right.
So that's what's going on in this country, and we can't let that happen. That's where they are.
Did you on Fox?
That's what Mike Pence is doing when he's talking about this.
Sure, but
and pretending that there was no terrorist attack on this country in 20 years.
When they talk about the president being shut down from getting his voice out there, they always have the wall of shit that he's banned from, and it's Pinterest and it's Spotify. Yeah, I bet Donald Trump's Spotify account was always a hot way to go, right? I bet that was a big deal. But they always have that wall of shit that he's been banned from.
Jumped in fast. Snap. Now, isn't Snap primarily a kids platform? But on the other hand, it's very ubiquitous, so it's probably good.
Yeah, Donald Trump can't TikTok anymore. He can't, he can't post his recipes on Pinterest.
Right.
It's just the saddest thing. And you're right. That is the story on Fox, is about how conservatives are just completely getting fucked over. Just completely getting fucked over from having their voice out there. And it's so sad. It's just the saddest possible thing. Like, they're not getting kicked off Reddit. They're not getting kicked off 4chan. They're not getting kicked off. The QAnon message board is still humming right along. Everything's still okay. And the president still can be heard anytime he wants.
This is my landline, okay?
Yeah.
It's my landline. You can still use the phone.
Oh, you can't make a call anymore, Brad. It's so sad. They took your cell phone away from you. How are you supposed to make a call?
Right.
How can you call a person?
Right. Can I just put in one little item, and then we can keep running here?
Yeah.
Yesterday, Sunday, when I got the notification on my phone that Alexei Navalny, the Russian, who is clearly the leading critic and alternative to Vladimir Putin, and has, how should we say it, a tremendous following over there.
Yeah. Could you do it, Jerry Lewis, Donald Trump style? He was poisoned. Could you do it like that?
And you know the story. Putin had him poisoned, about 4 months ago?
Yeah.
I think it was about 4 or 5 months ago. And you talk about tough guys, okay? Tough guys aren't guys who go down to the Army Navy store and buy Kevlar and dress up like Army and go trampling into the United States Capitol. Tough guys are people who can stand up to the famous phrase, a brutal dictator, Vladimir Putin, and put their life on the line over and over again to stand up for democracy in Russia, which apparently we have a lot of people who don't want to stand up for it here right now. And my first thought when I heard the story that he was getting on an airplane and flying back to Moscow, where he knew he was going to get detained instantly when he walked off the plane.
Right.
I thought, gee, our American president is surely going to finally take the last opportunity a few days before leaving to make a statement on behalf of democracy and human rights.
Oh, Lord.
And of course, I'm joking. Yeah. I knew he was never going to say anything. The only question was, who else around the world was going to speak up and say something? And of course, there were statements from everyone but us. Right. And I believe Biden put out a statement, I think through his chief of staff, that this is out. And so at this moment, they're going to hold on to him for 30 days. Little lesson when he comes back. 30 days.
Correct.
To try, and it's not going to work. This guy's determined. He is to me, the 21st century Alexander Solzhenitsyn. You can't break him. You cannot break. Now, if you kill him, I guess you kill him. Yeah. But maybe, just maybe, Putin might realize it's possible. It's probably not true. He's too big to kill.
There's a martyrdom kind of situation going on too. You make him bigger than he is at this point if you do go ahead and kill him because he has survived it. And
he already is. He already is big. And I thought the Time magazine blew it big time. You didn't have to make Joe Biden and Kamala Harris person of the year. You should have made this guy person of the year. He is doing more for democracy. He is doing more for freedom than anybody on the planet right now.
It's true.
Just being him. And I think they made a big mistake then. I still believe it now. And why an American president? And again, we're not talking about Donald Trump. He's not an American president. He's just this.
He's a guy. He's a guy that plays golf a lot and sometimes lives in the White House. Yeah.
Why you wouldn't want to embrace this man? Why you wouldn't invite him to the White House? Now, if it was Trump, he'd have to bump the My Pillow guy back to 4:30 in the afternoon.
Well, no, but if he was invited to the White House, then he would finish off the job for Putin and poison the guy. Probably it'd go, they'd taste Trump's food and they wouldn't taste his, and then all of a sudden I think ultimately the bottom line on that is that, again, we go back to American leadership. We used to have leadership in this stuff. We used to have some gravitas on the world stage by calling people out on their bullshit, and now that's done. Forget it. That's over.
It's because everybody's calling us out on our president's bullshit. So
that's it. That's essentially what we can do. There used to be a thing, and now all we do is basically either ignore or make excuses for Putin. Not we, Donald Trump, who is owned lock, stock, and barrel by Vladimir Putin.
And I'm not for one second thinking that Donald Trump, whoever and whatever he is, at this late hour in his presidency, was ever going to, especially just add in what happened on January 6th, add that in, was ever going to stand up for Navalny. I knew he never was going to do it. Yeah. And I thought, how sad, how pathetic.
Because it's easy. It's easy to do. It's easy to call out for, again.
It's not when the guy owns you.
Yeah, that's what's up.
He has about $500 million owed to him personally by who knows. This just adds to the weight of evidence that Putin owns Trump.
Yeah, that should become more clear pretty soon.
Right, because here's Trump doing all this shit the last week, all these kind of idiotic policies on energy and trying to appoint poison pill people in the various departments who can't be. He's doing all these kinds of things. But he couldn't do the one thing at the end, because he could have done this if apparently he wasn't afraid for his life, wasn't afraid for his family's life. Who knows what they've got on him, but he can't do it because he's so compromised by compromat. Okay.
Well, and I think this is also, to me, this is what the two visions between whatever we used to call the Republican Party is and everybody else. And that is, we used to think of this term of American exceptionalism. And I think I even heard Matt Gaetz say some bullshit about that when he was spouting off a week or so ago. American exceptionalism used to mean, yes, that you do call people out on this because, we have a lot of problems here and we always have, but we always try to fix stuff. And we were able to call out stuff like this around the globe when people would have political prisoners wherever it would be. To me, that was always American exceptionalism. At least you point it out. At least you try to be a leader. And now it's beyond. There's no question Donald Trump's not going to say anything because of a number of things, including what you just said, that he's owned lock, stock, and barrel by Vladimir Putin. But he's also trying to grab as much cash as he possibly can to pardon as many people as he can because he can't make any money any other way anymore.
Oh, so you're saying he was just too busy?
He's too busy stuffing his pockets again to try to pardon as many people as possible because Deutsche Bank's not going to do business with him anymore. Nobody's going to do anything. I heard this podcast. I think it was the Trump Inc. podcast. I'll have to look this up really quickly. They talked about what an absolute disaster that hotel in DC is, how freaking far underwater that whole situation is, and how it's going to end up being, one of the massive hotel chains eventually is going to get that thing. And I don't even know at this point if they can take the stink off of it, but it's a great location. As it turns out, in about 48 hours, the new landlord for the Trump Hotel in D.C. is going to be Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. because it's in a federal building. So that's going to be the new landlord. But there's no way my point would be there's no product this man has anymore once it's all over, and probably he's going to jail anyway. This Trump News Network would be one thing he could do to milk these people. All he can do is he can just try to bilk these poor people in these trailer parks out of $20 at a time for some sort of outrage against him, then funnel that money to his children. We've seen it with the inauguration. There's no other product he can manufacture at this point. So this is what he has to do, is sell these pardons and these commutations.
Let me bust the balloon of concern that we all have as to quote unquote, how is Donald Trump going to make a living after he leaves the White House?
There's nothing.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Remember, Trump fans, Trump voters, Trump cultists, you bought in to the image that was presented to you over all these years, 40 years. It started back in the 80s. Got turbocharged by Tony Schwartz writing the Art of the Deal. We'll talk about more in a second here. And then all the way through, and then triple turbocharged by making it appear that he was a successful businessman with the Apprentice show, that this guy was a strong, confident, smart, savvy business leader who got things done, made deals. And if you go back to the campaign of 2016, I'm the guy that can make deals. Nobody can make deals. Everybody's a moron.
I'm Mr. Art of the Deal. There he is.
And remember this, and I this is a direct quote. I'm rich. I'm really rich.
I didn't hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so here we are 4 years later, and he's leaving the White House. He's 74, 75 years old. He must still be rich, really rich, which of course he probably hasn't been and isn't, but people bought the bullshit. And now somehow you're supposed to, at some level, take at face value that there is some import to a guy who supposedly is worth a couple of $1 billion in his mid-70s. I know that this is a tough concept, and I'm not a financial planner, but that's enough that you could draw out 2 or 3% a year and probably not spend the whole principal if you are worth billions of dollars. And trying to scam and grift $20 and $50 from millions of people, those two things don't match up, Britt. No. They just don't match.
And it never has. And he's ripping off these people, again, $20 at a time for legal defense and election fraud defense and all this other horse shit. And they're going to.
So really what you're saying, and what people, again, why this isn't in the first paragraph of all the discussions of these isn't this proof that Donald Trump doesn't have money?
Which to me is the strangest thing is
money.
The strangest thing to me is like that would be the one thing that would bother his followers, these people that worship him, if they found out he was flat ass broke. Like everything else, they don't give a shit about. But if I found out,
I don't think so. You know why? Because he would have a reason.
Oh yeah, because the liberals did Nancy Pelosi steal the money from him?
Well, but over the last 4 years, there was a systematic plan, whether it was by the state of New York.
Oh, this is good.
The Southern District of New York.
To break him?
To break him, absolutely.
That's great.
And to destroy the value of his businesses. Now, he's lying, okay? I mean, he's the one that overpaid for the Doral Country Club down there near Miami, overpaid for it, spent a ton of money to remodel it. and it's a piece of shit, and
Yeah.
nobody wants to be there. That's nobody's fault.
Plus,
he's the world's worst real estate guy who was presented as the world's best real estate guy. He's the worst. Those golf courses overseas in particular, I think, are all white elephants, right? They're bleeding cash.
Right.
So to even think for 1 second, and I guess, again, you and I are living in some kind of a parallel world where we just don't get this. The idea that there is any legitimacy to him even having to, quote, make money now is ridiculous. It's all about ego, power, narcissism, and all those other things, and still trying to look strong. And also, he must realize, even though he'll never admit it, that he has essentially ruined the lives of all of his children. They're dead.
See, I don't think he cares about that.
I'm not quite sure whether he cares.
I don't think he cares about that.
He knows, but he doesn't care. It's a couple different things there.
And they were useless human beings anyway.
Well, he probably didn't think that. Although, wait a minute, no. Who did he say was he always used to think that Don Jr. was the dumb one. Okay, and then suddenly Don Jr. about 3 years ago, swallowed something and became Don Mini-Me, and became.
Do you know how high that motherfucker is polling legitimately among Republicans for the 2024 primary when they talk about Junior's like I think he's in the teens. I mean, he's like one of the guys. Obviously, Donald Trump is like the leading guy. Yeah, but I think Don Jr. may be ahead of Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio and a bunch of others. I think Ivanka's way up there too.
Well, if I may say something, and I've never heard this before, I don't think that polls taken right now probably mean much for 4 years from now. I'm just guessing that they don't mean
possibly.
Yeah.
But can you tell me right now that Donald Trump's not going to be if he doesn't go to jail and he's still alive? Can you tell me he's not going to win the GOP primary in 2024? Because I don't think you can. I don't think you can say that.
Well, you're completely discounting the possibility that he could be convicted.
No. I just said if he's not in jail and if he's still alive, because he could do either of those things could happen.
He can get convicted in impeachment. That doesn't send him to jail.
Oh, the impeachment and removal thing,
right?
Yeah, right, I don't hold out a lot of.
Wait. The new theory. The new theory is that the reason Mitch McConnell wanted to wait until January 20th for the impeachment trial in the Senate instead of last week doing a quickie. Okay. And by the way, there's nobody that knows doing a quickie more than Donald Trump.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for the mental image on all that. Associating the word quickie with Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump does make me so happy.
But anyway, the thinking is that McConnell did this because he intuitively knew that the days would tick on and more damning evidence would come out about what happened in Washington on January 6th, and that it actually would become so overwhelming. And just this weekend, that that new video that the war correspondent for the New Yorker shot, which is, I'm sure that on Fox that does not exist. Okay,
what are we talking? Yeah, he's on Fox.
No, it's Who Reads the New Yorker anymore, right? Anyway,
I'm glad they're able to get that out on Twitter and stuff because the president can't speak on Twitter.
Right,
that's
the
Fox story.
I'm sure you've watched enough of that to know that McConnell, who really does hate Trump and really does know that the future of the Republican Party has to be divorced from Trump, but he doesn't want his fingerprints on it completely. So this is going to give more cover, more reason, and more ability for more Republican senators to join in with the nifty 50 Democrats who undoubtedly all will vote for conviction. You add that in with the 6 or 7 that have already said, yes, we're voting for conviction on the Republicans. And that way they're rid of Trump, and then they vote, whatever the number would be to disallow him from ever holding public office again. and off they go, at least on the legal side of it. I mean, that's not going to convince, Trumpists. That'll just be more of the deep state victimizing Donald Trump and not listening to us. I mean, I get that. I understand that. But that's one of the new theories rolling around about why McConnell is waiting until then. Plus, it also has the potential of screwing up Joe Biden and the Democrats' plans because of the crush of publicity over the first few weeks if there's a Senate trial of Donald Trump, right away, starting later in the week.
Look, as we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, we get to say that Donald Trump did make quite a contribution to America in terms of equality, and he made lynching white people a thing. I mean, that's what they were trying to do on the 6th. So he made it so it was
beautiful.
I mean, I think that's really I really thought that I figured he was going to cancel the holiday. And then Lindsey Graham be like, I'm going along with it because Strom Thurmond was against it. Attorney General Bill Barr stood behind a chair in a private dining room next to the Oval Office. This is Axios reporting. Looming over Donald Trump, the president sat at the head of the table. It was December the 1st, Brad, less than a month after the election, and Barr had some sharp advice to get off his chest. The president's theories about a stolen election, Barr told Trump, were bullshit, quote unquote. White House counsel Pat Cipollone and a few other aides in the room were shocked that Barr had come out and said it. Although they knew it was true for good measure, the attorney general threw in a warning that the new legal team Trump was betting his future on was, quote unquote, clownish, Brad. Pat Cipollone has come in.
The timeline on that's interesting because it was about at that point where you were starting to get stories about they don't talk to each other much anymore.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
You didn't, right? So this reporting sounds like it has some. Who's the reporter on? Is that a Jonathan Swan?
That is a Jonathan Swan, yeah, from Axios, one of the finest reporters.
I discount it because he's from Australia. Okay.
Now, Pat Cipollone has come into sharp focus over the past 48 to 72 hours because I believe he was the one that was charged, and his office was charged with dealing with the MyPillow guy. I believe
he's the White House counsel. He's the John Dean now. But not really acting like John Dean.
So the MyPillow guy comes to the White House and wants to meet with Donald John Trump Sr. And he's got a
Friday, right?
That's a Friday, and he's got a list of stuff that's going to either swing the election to Trump or I don't know what, because they took a picture of his list of grievances and the people who were fucking over Donald Trump and whatever. Mike Lindell
on the martial law train there. Was he still saying?
I'm not sure, but this is what I get from some people, including at least one former guest of our radio show, that I just don't understand why the president does not invoke the Insurrection Act. Why is Donald Trump not invoking the Insurrection Act and protecting his presidency? Because clearly these people are coming after him. It's odd.
Because it wouldn't work? He can't do it?
Nobody would do it.
Allowed to unilaterally do it? The military would tell him to fuck off?
And
other than that, yes.
Even Lindsey Graham
is the guy you listen to. Yeah.
Even Lindsey Graham might go, I'm not okay with that. Yeah. I was okay with everything else, but I'm not all right with that.
Well, see, here's the problem. Donald Trump never thought about invoking the Insurrection Act to restore calm when there really was an insurrection 2 weeks ago. That was the wrong kind of insurrection for Donald Trump to use. That was the right kind for him and the wrong kind to try to clamp down. Because remember, he had his thumb up his ass while he was watching TV. While people were getting killed and trampled, and whoever was the architect or whoever has configured all the office space in the Capitol, boy, it points to them that they were able to have so many places where folks could go hide. But it's rather clear, and I haven't done it yet, but we need to rewrite the Gilligan's Island theme song, because remember, right in there, it's a 3-hour tour, right?
Yeah.
It's a 3-hour tour. So what happened the day before on January 5th? There was a several-hour tour, apparently conducted by the QAnon type people who are now in the Congress to show their followers.
This Lauren Boebert person, they keep focusing on her quite a bit because she has really no standing, and it was a recon mission, and she took part in it as well to show these people, hey, if you want to come in here and smash some windows, you can get in through here and here and there and here. Yeah, that's what happened. It was a 3-hour tour. You're absolutely 100% right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if Madison Cawthorn, the representative from Western North Carolina, was part of this. Certainly, he's been part of the excusing of it and the minimizing of it ever since January the 6th. That guy's special.
They're already saying he needs to be tossed out. The people in the district over there in Western North Carolina.
Yeah, what were the indications that he was a bad guy? I mean, just because they had pictures of him posting with a thumbs up at Hitler's bunker, how were they supposed to know that this guy was a bad person, Brad? How would you have ever had any clue or indication?
Well, to be fair, my first car was a Volkswagen Rabbit made in Germany. So I would have no standing.
You would.
1977 chocolate brown Volkswagen Rabbit.
It ran like a top too, didn't it? You couldn't. That's a bulletproof car. You can't fuck with that car. Get 700,000 miles out of that car.
Although that was the fairly early in the development by all the car makers of front wheel drive on a mass scale.
Yes,
it was an exclusive thing and then they all started doing it. And there's a joint underneath there which allows the front wheel drive and to work and to be able to steer. And it went bad on the car. I wish I would have had what's the shit they're always advertising on TV to get you to insure your car.
Oh yeah, that bully. Or if you would have just had cell phones back then and somebody could have called you, we've been trying to get in touch with you about your car's warranty. Car, that's the one.
Boy, those people ought to be in prison, don't you think?
Well, it all kind of gets lumped in with a bunch of other shit.
My favorite part of that commercial, and obviously, one of the critiques of capitalism, and I'm all in with this, is that basically capitalism is about convincing people to stupidly spend their money on things that they often don't understand or don't need. Once you get past that, you can start to do well. Or you can be really, really honest and give them a really great product that they want. And there's not much of a gap in between those two things.
Not much.
And the Car Shield commercials, when they say, it could cost you up to $5,000 for a new engine. Well, I have some breaking news. I'm worried about having to get a new engine for $5,000. And you know what that is. Your car probably, if it's so broken down that the engine completely needs replacement, your car is not worth $5,000.
Yeah, time to get a new car.
But let's put that aside for a second while you pay $3,000 a year for Car Shield insurance, so it will pay off $5,000 to get a new engine, which probably. Anyway, I don't know how we went down the Car Shield tubes anyway.
Because we were trying to figure out why Madison Cawthorn, how the people of Western North Carolina got suckered into voting for that guy. I didn't know he was a piece of garbage.
Right.
I mean, despite the fact he lied about his military record and loved Hitler. I mean, the guy seemed like he was aces.
He's a human car shield. Okay? Why did you invest in this guy? He could easily be a one-termer.
He may not get seated. I mean, they may expel him. I think that's a distinct possibility. And speaking of which, this is Representative Steve Cohen of Tennessee. Cohen has been the guy from the Memphis area for many, many years. I believe that's the Germantown area is where he hails from. He said today that he saw QAnon-curious freshman Congresswoman Lauren Boebert of Colorado leading a large group to a tour of the Capitol in the days before the riots. Cohen says he doesn't know where any of those people in the crowd took part in the violent January 6th attack on the Capitol.
Wait. Can I stop here?
Yeah.
Since when are there any tours of the Capitol because of COVID? I thought
that's a good idea.
All that stuff was off the boards. You can't do White House tours. Washington's been shut down
for a while
for tourism since March, right? So now you're really doubly breaking the rules there. So, but when you're trying to foment revolution and the overturning of the government, there's nothing that can't.
There's no rules.
No rules.
Democrats have alleged that a GOP colleague gave a reconnaissance, also known as recon, Brad. I don't know if you ever heard that term, of the Capitol the day before the mob stormed the building over the weekend. Boebert denied she was a member, although no one accused her by name, is saying she did not guide any outside group of insurrectionists. Speaking on CNN on Monday, Cohen, who is on the Judiciary Committee, said that Representative John Yarmouth had refreshed my recollection yesterday and that he had seen Boebert taking a group of people for a tour sometime after the 3rd and before the 6th. Boebert has not yet publicly responded to Cohen's comments.
Yeah, is she having trouble recalling? I don't remember. You know, that was all of 12 days ago.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I'm not really sure. It's been very sad. Although, as you know, most of these people, in terms of being arrested and stuff, I don't think this is the toughest evidence collection the FBI has ever done. Many of these people were more than happy to post selfies and live streams of themselves to their own Facebook accounts and whatever. And that's how many of them are being caught and pointed out by friends, even family members are knocking out people all left and right.
Right. But more importantly, you have to be so caught up in what you're doing, and you have to abandon any kind of discriminatory thought to believe that you can just walk in to the United States Capitol and trash and turn over and steal and take shits on the floor and pee all over the place like they did and be oblivious and think that your mission is so sacred.
Yeah.
It is so in service to a higher power,
Yeah.
Donald Trump, who
He's blessed.
told you to do this,
Yeah.
that you do not believe for one moment that when I hold up a camera and take your picture, that you're going to get in trouble. You just don't believe that's going to happen because you're doing the right thing. You believe you are doing the right thing.
You've seen the picture of the two guys who were like taking papers and destroying them on the floor of the Senate, and they're saying they think that Ted Cruz would be okay with this, so it's all right. Not only do they think it's blessed, they think they were given tacit permission.
I looked at that segment a couple of times.
Yeah,
and again, go back to what we were just talking about. About 40 seconds ago. These are people who, again, are not the brightest among us. I hate to be judgmental.
Yeah, it's tough.
But they are completely enthralled with the orders from Donald Trump into their brain that have been burnished by social media and Fox News and all the websites and everything for years. We're not talking about this has been going on for years. It's a grooming thing, right?
It is. Yeah.
They have been groomed to believe this. And so at the point of executing the mission, and this was a planned mission, we know that now.
Clearly.
That's not a random, they just happened to all get pushed into the Capitol. They didn't know who knew? This was a plan. We're going to find out more as days and weeks go on, how it was planned, who did it. It's all going to come out because in the end, these cowards, when it gets time to sit in front of prosecutors who are going to have all the evidence that we know is there, we've all seen it. They didn't have to bug anybody's phone. They didn't have to tap into people's cell phone. They didn't have to do anything. It's all there. The easiest evidence collection ever. And at the moment that they finally are kind of by themselves in the Capitol, looking around, they're not quite knowing what to do. Right? Geez, we're in here. Shit, what do we do? They're yelling crazy stuff. And then they find some papers that are on the congressman's desk, the senator's desk, and they're rifling through and they see Ted Cruz. And Ted Cruz is just like all the other enemies until one guy said, oh, no. He's on our side.
He's our guy.
He's our guy. They didn't. Who knew? Ted Cruz sucks. He's just like us. Wow, Ted Cruz. Are you going to denounce these people? You're going to try to disassociate yourself? They love you as much as they love Trump.
Right.
And I thought that was a real clarifying moment to describe their ignorance. Because how could you not know that Ted Cruz, who with Josh Hawley of Missouri, they were the two senators who were the lead dogs in voting to not recognize the election of Joe Biden as straight up and legal. That was one of your, and you didn't even know, and you were in there. You had the shit. Now you've seen the other story. Some guy grabbed what apparently is a Nancy Pelosi laptop and was trying to sell.
I think it was a woman.
Was it a woman trying to sell it to the Russians?
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah.
And my God. And I know you're shocked at the story because you're thinking Nancy Pelosi knows how to use a laptop.
Oh, stop that! Why do you do that?
That was an old person joke.
That's not.
That was
no.
Not, that was
I will say in some of the documents and stuff, that charge appears to be somewhat specious. Although that woman is getting dimed out by her family, like left and right. Like and this is the other part of this. This has been the slur against a lot of liberals by conservatives for years. Like, oh, you live in your mom's basement. All of these motherfuckers that went up to D.C. apparently live with their parents. They're like 40 years old and shit, living in a bedroom right down the hall from mom.
No, not all. You can't do that because
almost all of them. Almost all of them. The guy with the fucking horns, Brad. The guy.
That's not all of them. And they're Britt, you're underselling. You're underselling the fact. You're underselling the fact that a lot of these people are like regular people with regular jobs who own businesses, who are not all white trash living in basements. This crossed over. Donald Trump has invaded and fucked up not just those people. Yes, that's an important part of the base. I get that. But that woman, that crazy ass real estate woman from Texas, who got on the private plane and flew up there, and then was part of it, and then flew back, and then went to the CBS affiliate in Dallas and went on TV, looked into the camera, and begged Donald Trump to pardon her. You know, that's not a poor schmuck living in somebody's basement. This is sadly, this is wider and more pervasive than that. And I don't know how you get through to these people. I mean, it's look, nobody's going to have more fun than we are with the guy wearing the horns and all that shit. But he's not everybody that's there. He's not everybody. And boy, he was really crazy. You know, when you saw him when he took it off and started chanting, just this crazy shit. I mean, he's out of his fucking mind.
He's been mistaken with the lead singer of the 90s dance group Jamiroquai, because that guy used to perform in they apparently look alike, and that guy used to perform in some horns like that.
Me, you know?
Is that what it was? It must be generational.
Yeah.
There we go. That's all for today.
We've done plenty of damage, but not nearly as much as may be done over the next few days. Not by us.
48 hours. 48 hours. Hold on tight.
Yep, we're with you.
President Pence, you hang in there. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. He's not really.